Ladies and gentlemen, President Trump is basically like H.A. Goodman on this channel. There are about 3 or 4 themes that I always talk about. About 3 or 4 themes. Clinton transferring top secret intelligence onto servers outside of the United States government. This is a fact. You could look at NBC News, Politico, Washington Post, New York Times. It's all there. James Comey basically explained that there were 100 email chains that took place with people speaking to Clinton with information that was emailed to Clinton that happened to be top secret intelligence. How did the United States government allow servers for 4 years that they had no access to, that the government had no access to our servers? That's just one of many themes I talk about. The next theme is, of course, that Clinton eventually, when people say, H.A. Goodman said that Clinton would be indicted. It's like, first of all, I never said, sometimes they say, he said that she'd be in jail or going to prison. I never said that, ever. I never said she would be arrested. I never said she would be in jail. Who knows what happens after she would get eventually indicted. In 2016, there was a fake, phony, fabricated criminal probe into her use of private servers. She used those servers to hide her Clinton Foundation emails. That's why you would use servers. If President Trump used servers that had top secret intelligence on them, Lord knows what the left would do, what Democrats would do. Then they say, Kushner used WhatsApp. That's nothing to do. If even logging on to WhatsApp or to Gmail or whatever, if you use the government Wi-Fi or the government internet, the government still has the ability to access what you're doing. But if you have servers outside of the United States government, because Kushner is not using his own servers, and furthermore, even if he was, which he isn't, he's using. He wouldn't have transferred top secret and special access program intelligence. Clinton did that on servers for 4 years as Secretary of State. They need to make everything morally relative. But here the point is, Trump criticizes Roger Stone. Guilty verdict suggests Hillary Clinton and Robert Mueller should be prosecuted. Now, this is great because you have a president who fights back. They don't like that. Democrats like a Bernie Sanders type of person, a person who doesn't fight back. Now, today's Bernie Sanders voters are different from the people of 2016. When I was the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, according to the Huffington Post, and the unofficial scribe of Sanders' most hardcore voters, according to the Washington Post, I wrote articles that went viral that said he is the clear choice for Democrats. Democrats would have won with Bernie Sanders. They would rather have lost with Clinton than win with Bernie. And the Bernie Sanders voters of today, and basically most Bernie Sanders voters, and most Jill Stein, most Bernie Sanders voters never wanted to deviate from the loyal Democratic Party paradigm. Well, we don't like the Democrats, but we don't like Trump even more. And the Democratic Party it might not be our cup of tea, but at least they're on our side. No, they're not. They've never been on Bernie's side. And Bernie Sanders is essentially a tool of the Democratic Party. But here, Trump writes, so they now convict Roger Stone of lying and want to jail him for many years to come. Well, what about Hillary? Hillary Clinton, Comey, Strzok, Page, McKay, Brennan, Clapper, Shifty Schiff, Orr, Nellie, Steele, and all the others included even Mueller himself. Didn't they lie? Of course they did. Mueller knows who Fusion GPS and Glenn Simpson are. He lied under oath. He knows. Glenn Simpson? The Simpsons? I don't know. Every person even the three impeachment witnesses, they're hilarious. They're like, well, we heard something. We don't like his foreign policy, and furthermore, we heard that people don't like Trump or that Trump was doing something bad. It's like, who cares what you heard? Who cares what you heard? What you heard is completely and utterly irrelevant. But here, a double standard like never seen before in the history of our country, of course. Trump's tweets, this is a CNBC, Trump's tweets contain a list of people he has blamed for the probe into the 2016 election by Mueller, who investigated Russian interference, possible coordination with Russian agents by Trump's campaign, and possible obstruction of justice by Trump himself. So it's interesting. It's kind of hilarious the way, like, when people... Mueller pointedly did say that while he did not recommend that Trump be prosecuted for obstruction, quote, if we had confidence that the president clearly did not commit a crime, we would have said so. Who cares? See, all of this, what they've done, because they have nothing on Trump, see, they never say no reasonable prosecutor would indict. They never say, well, Trump actually utilized transferred top secret intelligence. They don't say that. Or the RNC funneled $80 million into Trump's super PAC, which is what happened with Clinton, with Correct the Record and with the DNC. The DNC funneled $80 million. The Democratic Party funneled tens of millions of dollars into Clinton's campaign, and they say it wasn't a campaign finance violation. Then you have the hilarious nonsense. Oh, they're causing such divisiveness. Trump is such a divisive figure. Yeah, because he fights back, and he won, and he's implementing his foreign policy, which you can't stand. He's implementing his domestic policy, which you can't stand, and you have no answer to. So then people just freak out on social media, and he's divisive because he doesn't give an inch. When he is insulted, he insults back. Excuse me. The thing is, they've never treated Trump in a presidential manner. They never treated the president, President Trump. They never. Where was the last CBS or NBC or ABC interview? Where was George Stephanopoulos? I mean, they had a meeting, they had an interview once, but it was always a gotcha question. You wouldn't go to the FBI? This is George Stephanopoulos. If another country wanted to harm Democrats, you wouldn't go to the FBI and inform them? What does that even mean? This is the most important thing to George Stephanopoulos. Are you kidding me? What about what drives President Trump? What about how he was able to meet Kim Jong-un, how he was able to begin a process of peace, why Moon Jae-in of South Korea would want a Nobel Peace Prize for President Trump. South Korea's president during the Obama years didn't ask for a Nobel Peace Prize for President Obama regarding what he did on the Korean Peninsula, but know that President Obama helped destroy Libya. His failed foreign policy, along with Bush, just completely obliterated countries. So it's like, what about asking President Trump? Oh, what motivates you? What I don't know, any question that they would ask of another president. How did you feel when you were the first president? Has anyone ever asked Trump? You were the first president to step foot in North Korea to begin some kind of process of peace. Have they ever asked that? It's always, these are the liberals who are like, oh yeah, he's an authoritarian. He likes other authoritarians. Like, are you kidding me? These are the same people who hide behind the government, expansive government probes into nothing, literally utilize evidence purchased by Trump's direct political rival. They accuse Trump of trying to undermine his direct political rival when they're the ones who did that. This is so obvious. So when Clinton runs and loses again, because look, when Clinton says she's not running, it's basically the same thing as saying she survived Bosnian sniper fire. Clinton, if you utilize the standard of the Washington Post on Trump's 5,000 lives, would have 50,000 lies. What the Washington Post did with Trump is anything that is subjective, they call deceit. You don't even have to go that far with Clinton. Clinton has even insinuating that she's not running is a lie. Because from her vantage point, she said, well, I never said I was, and I kept the door open. No, it's still a lie. She's still lying right now. There are millions of people out there who can't believe that Clinton would ever consider a run because she's already ruled it out. The intent to deceive is there. So even if she technically never said that she's not running, and then there were overt lies. She sent and received classified information. She sent and received top secret intelligence. No, allegedly, people knew. Apparently, nobody knew. If President Obama knew, then why did he lie to CNN? So we can go on forever. Look, Attorney General Loretta Lynch didn't meet to speak about golf, Brexit, and grandchildren with Bill Clinton. All of this, ladies and gentlemen, is when people on the left, you have people who have that rose icon and they're socialists and they think that their voice is really important to the Democratic Party. Like, people on the left, what they do is they complain, they pretend not to like the Democratic Party, and then they fall in bed with Tom Perez and Debbie Wasserman Schultz the second it's crunch time. The second they're on the goal line, they say, okay, you know what, we have to just, circle the wagons, fall in line. But for 3-4 years in between 2016 and 2020, oh my God, this is so immoral, this is so immoral. Look what they're doing. Look at the United States empire. Look at the patriarchy. Look at this. Look at that. It's like you're just going to vote for Clinton anyway. So all those times you tried to disparage other people on the left, instead of trying to promote unity on the left, it's always, you're not good enough, you're not good enough, you're not good enough, you're not good enough. And at the end of the day, they wonder why they lost by 70,000 votes in swing states. Then they say, well, it was Russian interference. Well, number one, prove that Russia was so afraid of Clinton. Because I don't think she was afraid. I don't think that Putin was afraid of Clinton. When Clinton was on the Committee on Foreign Investment, and she was quiet as a church mouse, pertaining to the 20% of U.S. uranium capacity sold under President Obama's administration. Only President Obama could have vetoed the sale. He didn't. Why? So these are themes that I talk about. And when President Trump suggests that Clinton should be prosecuted, why do you think he's saying this November 16, 2019? It's because she's committed crimes. Now, Trump did not. That's the difference between the two. That is the difference between the two. And what's going on right now is, look, this is the last-ditch effort by people who grew up either under President Bush or President Obama. You have 16 years, ladies and gentlemen, and don't overlook this fact. Don't mitigate this with, everyone's saying one thing. You have journalists who, when they were 15 or 20 years old or 25 years old, the beginning of Bush, who are now in their late 30s and early 40s, who are allegedly, essentially running the show. And they are convinced there's only one way to do things. That's why they're okay with President. That's why Democrats have a favorable view of George W. Bush. And then I have one person who told me, oh, you know what, George Bush did this, it's like, yeah, and you're voting for Clinton? You're voting for Clinton? It makes no sense. They don't care. They don't care about destroying Libya, because that's what Obama did. They care about what Trump potentially said about a country in that region of the world, which they have no proof he actually said anything. So the destruction of a country in that region versus what Trump possibly said. To them, what Trump possibly said is divisive and tears apart the fabric of our nation. But actually destroying a country with a failed NATO intervention, they're okay with. Shrug shoulders, at least we're presidential. That's why nobody cares about Trump's personality. Because the average Trump voter and independent sees right through this. That's why Trump's going to win again. Because at the end of the day, it's what has he done for the economy. The economy's better than it's been in the past 16 years. Record low unemployment, record highs in the stock market, 500,000 manufacturing jobs. So, okay. They say, well, the manufacturing sector is contracting. It has nothing to do. Okay, the industries can expand and contract. More people are being hired. So what's your point? There are issues related to technology and trade that have a lot to do with that. There's still 500,000 new manufacturing jobs. There are still 1 million more job openings than people to fill them. That's pretty good. It's a good economy. So, I mean, the issue here is, did Clinton commit crimes? The answer is yes. When you have a Bernie Sanders supporter in today's world who says, H.A. Goodman, remember when he said that Hillary was going to jail? I never said that she would go to jail, number one. Number two, that person who tries to disparage me, that person knows nothing about politics, but that person who tries to disparage me knows very well Clinton committed crimes, but can't deviate from that paradigm of thought saying, okay, well, we have to be loyal to Democrats. We have to be loyal to the left. Because God forbid, I wouldn't want to be like H.A. Goodman. I wouldn't want to be like, any conservative or Trump supporter or former progressive who just doesn't like the Democratic Party and actually calls out their criminal behavior. God forbid we actually say that Clinton actually committed crimes. And a person who commits crimes, not just like stealing like a Snickers bar or like, some kind of, like bubble gum or whatever, I'm talking about, like, people should have there should be leniency and compassion and mercy. This is an important trait that's lost upon the left when they roam around on social media trying to disparage people. But I'm talking about like real serious, egregious crimes. Like 85 donors giving $156 million into the Clinton Foundation and all 85 meeting Clinton. And we have to assume that the 85 donors gave money into the Clinton Foundation exactly for the same altruistic reasons as Uranium One gave money into the Clinton Foundation. The whole thing is an overt, fabricated quid pro quo money laundering scheme. So that's yet another example of a bribery and racketeering racket. Clinton has committed a litany of actual crimes. When Rudy Giuliani says she could already be indicted based on the public record, that's the truth. So you see what's taking place. People are like, oh, yeah. They know Comey covered up her crimes. They don't care. Their whole thing is that, well, it hasn't happened yet, so don't talk about it. Because they don't want to sound like a conservative. If a conservative said, or they don't want to sound like me, or they don't want to sound like a progressive who actually sees the criminal behavior of the left, or they don't want to sound, they would rather allow actual criminality to be left unchecked than to actually call it out because they would be seen as disloyal. Give me your thoughts below. Trump will never stop talking about Clinton being prosecuted. And there's a reason for that. And again, when people say, well, how can she run? She'll be, she'll be indicted. She doesn't care. How can she run? She'll lose. She doesn't care. How can she run? It'll destroy the Democratic Party. She doesn't care. How can she run? But there's already an established primary. Nobody believes Biden's going to win, or Warren or Bernie. Give me your thoughts below. Check out H.A. Goodman's other channel right now.